The Ohio Chamber of Commerce proudly brings you another episode of Down to Business, a podcast that elevates the voices of business, community, and thought leaders, aiming to empower you and your business. That's why we're here, to aggressively champion free enterprise, economic competitiveness, and growth for the benefit of all Ohioans. Now, without further ado, it's time to get down to business.
Well, welcome to the Down to Business podcast, where we dive deep into the heart of Ohio's business landscape. I'm Matt MacLaren, the Director of Travel and Tourism Policy for the Ohio Chamber of Commerce, and today I am your guide to talk about tourism in Ohio. Each year, visitors spend over $53 billion in our state. They spend it at tourism businesses, including retailers, restaurants, lodging, sports teams, events, and attractions. And in a few areas of Ohio, that visitor spending is one of the largest economic drivers in the community. Warren County is one of those areas. It is known as Ohio's largest playground, and our guest today is Scott Hutchinson, the Director of Marketing and Communications at Warren County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Hi, Scott. It's great to have you on the show.
Hey, how's it going? Thank you for having me. Excited to catch up with you and share what we got going on down in Warren County.
And we're excited to have you here. And I got to know, what makes Warren County Ohio's largest playground?
Yes, that is the question we get all the time. Oftentimes, actually, we'll get calls from people who are looking for a literal large playground in Ohio. But of course, the branding there has been around forever, and we're known as Ohio's largest playground, essentially because we have more to do in a 30-mile radius than anywhere else in the state of Ohio. And when I say more to do, it's a huge, huge variety of things. Warren County, of course, makes up kind of that bridge between Cincinnati and Dayton. So we kind of sit right between 71 and 75, makes us very drivable. And of course, the huge attraction people know us for, perhaps most, is Kings Island. But we have so many other things going on in addition to that. So That's where the Ohio's largest playground name comes from.
Yeah, that you answer the question, what is there to do in Ohio? Well, you have it right there. And I know I'm in Warren County when I'm driving down 71 and I see those giant roller coasters at Kings Island. Why don't you tell us a little bit more? It's an exciting time of year. Kings Island's open now, right?
It is. So they open every third week of April. And from a tourism standpoint, that's obviously a huge date on the calendar for us every year. It's kind of funny, growing up in the area, it was always just kind of, normal to have these record-breaking roller coasters and huge crowds and whatnot in your backyard. But until you get into the tourism industry, you don't realize as much, I guess, how lucky you are to have, especially growing up as a kid, to have not only one of, the Midwest best amusement parks right in your backyard, but really a internationally, globally popular theme park like Kings Island right there. So you mentioned the fact, of course, they just opened in the spring, and I know the big thing, they're always adding something every year, but the big thing this year is a major upgrade to their kids area, which is called Planet Snoopy. So it's themed after the Peanuts characters, Charlie Brown and all his buddies. But this year, in addition to Planet Snoopy, they're redoing a certain area of it and calling it Camp Snoopy, which is kind of a summer camp themed, kids area that is highlighted by a new coaster that they're unveiling called Snoopy's Soapbox Racers, which opens actually on May 24th. Will be the first day for that. So very exciting.
It is exciting, and as a dad, I have a 10-year-old daughter who's not quite ready for those big roller coasters like Orion yet, even though I love them. So we need something a little smaller to start off on. Snoopy's Soapbox Racers. It's a mouthful, but It sounds like a lot of fun. Can the parents go on it with the kids?
They can. And actually, it's funny because looking at the ride itself, I was kind of thinking the same thing. I'm like, it doesn't I'm a coaster fan and have always been, but it is a kids coaster, but it looks like maybe a little more of an intense one as far as kids coasters go. It actually is. A lot of people I know were bummed that the racer at Kings Island, which has been there forever, used to go backwards, and they got rid of that backwards track several years ago. But Snoopy's Soapbox Racers will have a backwards element to it, so it goes both forward and backwards. And really cool thing about it is it's actually the fifth kids focused roller coaster at the park, which makes Kings Island kind of one of the capitals of kid-friendly coasters, in addition to obviously the big, Orion and the Beast and the other just monster rides that they've got there.
Yeah, the award-winning Planet Snoopy just got even better. But when you take your kids to Warren County, you can have all that amusement park fun. There's now an educational area. I guess it's been around for over 2,000 years, but Fort Ancient just recently received a status as a World Heritage Site. Can you tell us more?
Correct. So Fort Ancient is essentially, it's in Oregonia, which is just a little north of Lebanon, here in Warren County. And as you mentioned, it's been around for thousands of years, but is essentially a historical landmark, which was the site of all these different earth mounds that were created back in the Hopewell era, in our Native American history here in Ohio. And for years and years, the Ohio History Connection and our CVB, and then our friends at a few other CVBs that have sites out in Chillicothe area and out in Licking County, who have similar Hopewell sites, have been working to get UNESCO World Heritage status for these sites, which is essentially a big term to say that the United Nations considers these big deals, almost bucket list kind of items. So it's another kind of like I was mentioning with, I never realized growing up how big of a deal Kings Island was. Very similar thing here. So these Hopewell sites, including Fort Ancient and Warren County, are the first and only UNESCO World Heritage Site now, as of this past September, in the state of Ohio, and one of only 25 in the United States. And then there are numerous sites globally, but if you look at the list, it's really wild, because it's the others in the United States. You're talking the Statue of Liberty, the Grand Canyon, and then abroad it's things like the pyramids in Egypt, the Great Wall of China, and then you've got Fort Ancient here in Warren County. So very, very cool. It's definitely been seeing a lot more, tourist attention and visitation since the World Heritage announcement. But the other thing that's been cool is just the fact that locals who maybe drive by it every single day, going up or down 71, and that in the past just saw a sign that said Native American site or something, maybe on the side of the highway, are realizing what they've got right here in their backyard, which is very cool.
And it's so cool to have it, as you pointed out, right here in our backyard. When tourism businesses invest and when we get designations like the World Heritage designation, it not only draws more visitors in, but it gives something for the residents to enjoy, to be proud of. And I'm one of those guys that used to drive by Fort Ancient, and now with the World Heritage designation, I stopped. I went to see it. I loved it. It was like a walk in the park with these ancient mounds where you could learn about the history and really enjoy, and it's special to have it right here in Ohio.
Yeah, absolutely. Their museum there is great. They've got a great team. Again, Ohio History Connection runs the site, and they know way more about it than I probably ever will. But very, very cool thing, whether you're coming to town specifically to visit, or like you said, if you've been around forever and just never had a chance to check it out, now's a great time to do that.
Now, some of the stuff we have here, we actually have to compete to keep here, and one of those things would be the Cincinnati Open, one of the top tennis tournaments in the entire world, brings in the best in the men's and women's tennis. Just this past year, North Carolina tried to steal it away from us, but I think the good news is it's staying in Ohio, right? That's
right. It's staying in Ohio. They did their best in North Carolina, and there was a while there where we would get questions all the time, what's happening with the tournament, and really until the announcement was made, we weren't totally sure. Of course, it was the Western and Southern Open. Now this year is named the Cincinnati Open, which is awesome. Gives it a little more of that local feel. But like you said, one of the biggest global professional tennis events in the world, brings both the best men's and women's players to Warren County, to the Lindner Family Tennis Center every August. And yeah, it's going to be here another 25 years, which is awesome news. Not just because, it's such a fun event, but because from a tourism standpoint, it moves the needle in a major way. Obviously, our goal tourism angle is to get people not just to come check out what's happening, but to get people to stay in hotels, to go to restaurants, to shop while they're here, to really, get things going economically. And the tennis tournament, if it's not the biggest week for our hoteliers every year, it's right up there. We always make the joke, all you got to do to kind of understand or wrap your head around the tourism impact of that tournament is go out into the parking lot while all the cars are here, and it's literally difficult at times to find an Ohio license plate. It's people flying in and renting cars, or people driving in, and it's a major attraction, and one too that puts us, because of how unique and how global of a sport tennis is, one that kind of puts us in an international spotlight that we don't necessarily see from a lot of other events throughout the year.
Yeah, it helps create that sense of place for the state of Ohio. That sense of place is important because it helps other people from other states, other areas of the United States, and as you pointed out with this event, internationally actually understand Ohio and what there is to do, and hopefully bring their businesses and become residents of our state after visiting here too.
Right, absolutely.
On that, you talked about the different license plates. I got to imagine that Warren County draws from a lot of places. Can you talk about where some of your visitors come from?
We do. So we draw from really all over the country, but our sweet spot, really, we know that we do really well in that kind of weekend, family travel drive market. So we're a very popular road trip destination. We'll see a lot of people come in from Indianapolis, for instance, a lot of people from even out in Chicago, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Louisville. So kind of that, we get a lot of people who are driving 2, 3, 4 hours to come check out everything we've got going on for the weekend. And again, of course, that it makes us a neat destination because we're easy to get to. We're not going to break the bank. You get a lot of the feel of almost, because of Kings Island being here, almost we always say a Disney vacation for maybe a 10th or 20th of the price point that you'd be paying down in Orlando. Drive market is huge for us, and of course, being Ohio's largest playground, the family travelers, the kind of multi-generational trips where you're getting not just mom and dad, but they're bringing the kids and maybe the grandparents, and everybody's coming in and having a good time and finding something that they're into.
Yeah, and you certainly get that from my family. We live in the Columbus area, but I've packed everyone in the car, and we'll do our overnight at Great Wolf Lodge and fun event to Kings Island and check out everything else we're talking about on this podcast too. I do want to say, with the Lindner Family Tennis Center, home of the Cincinnati Open, it is pretty amazing to see the over $200 million in investments that's happening there. State leaders, local leaders, businesses, major businesses all came together to help support the Cincinnati Open. And man, that's going to be already a great tournament. Such an amazing experience when those renovations happen.
It absolutely will be. And we for sure could not have, we played at the CVB, a small part in kind of helping drum up attention in terms to the importance of the event staying here. But obviously our friends at the state and the city of Mason and the county and so many different parties came together to really make sure that we didn't lose something that's so important. Obviously, you hear the hundreds of millions of dollars being thrown around, and it is a huge investment. But at the end of the day, it's every single summer, it's bringing hundreds of thousands of people to town. Those people are not just watching tennis. They're going to Kings Island. They're staying in our hotels. They're going to different events that are kind of overlapping with that. So it moves the needle in a huge way economically. And as you mentioned, too, just beyond tourism, it shines a spotlight on not just Southwest Ohio, but kind of the Midwest in general, and says, this huge event comes here every year. There must be a lot going on there.
There must be a lot going on. What else is going on? I know from sports parks to great downtowns, what else draws people to Warren County?
Yeah, there is always something going on here. You mentioned sports parks. So we have the Warren County Sports Park at Union Village, which our CVB team actually owns and operates. It's been open for several years now and actually brings in over 1 million people now annually. Behind that was sports tourism, and if you have kids who play sports, I'm sure this will resonate with a lot of people, but it used to be kind of you join your local, knot hole baseball league or whatever, and that was kind of your team. And nowadays it's, if you're playing baseball or soccer or any sort of different sports, oftentimes you are on much more competitive teams that are traveling every single weekend and are not just bringing the coaches and the kids, but again the parents, siblings, grandparents, any sort of support system, and they need places to stay. They need things to do when they're not competing. So Warren County's really kind of carved out a spot as a destination sporting tourism area as well, which is great. And then you mentioned just the fact that there's always something happening here throughout the year. We have a ton of stuff in terms of events and festivals throughout the year. We're already looking. I know we aren't even into the summer yet, but already looking forward to fall and the Ohio Renaissance Festival and the Ohio Sauerkraut Festival, and then of course all of our different winter holiday events throughout the year. So a ton happening. I could probably go all day, but
we might have to have you back on. There's so much. And the Sauerkraut Festivals make it onto my list. I have not tried that one yet. That may be one of the more unique festivals in the state.
It is definitely unique, and it's much more than if you're not a sauerkraut person, don't let that make you not check it out, because it's also a huge craft event. They've got all kinds of different booths there, but it is a wildly popular event there in downtown Waynesville every fall. Literally hundreds of thousands of people all coming down onto one street for sauerkraut. So who knew it's such a popular, there's a lot of German heritage in Ohio, so maybe that's where it all comes from. But
there tends to be such pride in the community that gets to put on these festivals. They're not only sharing the topic of the festival, but they're also sharing what their lifestyle, what their community looks like with everyone. And that kind of leads me to the last question for you today. What does the tourism industry mean to the residents of Warren County?
It is huge. And like I said, not everyone who lives here obviously they know the big attractions and they see the traffic and they see, like I said, the license plates from other states and whatnot. But I don't think a lot of locals realize how big of an impact tourism makes and how much it helps people who do live here and are not tourists. The big thing, of course, is when people come in and stay in our hotels, they're paying a small percentage, which is a lodging tax. And that lodging tax not only goes to fund organizations like ours that help spread the word to bring more people in, but the great thing about it is that it's a tax that is not being paid by local residents, but is going towards projects like roads and fire and all these different things that ultimately benefit the locals. So anytime you can get people to come in and enjoy themselves, but at the same time contribute to the economy in a way that'll help, non-tourists and locals, I think it's kind of a win-win on both sides there.
Yeah, and Warren County is doing it right. It really is great to see investments in Ohio's tourism industry that are creating a strong sense of place that helps our state be recognized by its residents, by all those that visit, and really nationally and internationally as a great place. Those visitors generate new money for the community, and those investments by our tourism businesses really make Ohio a wonderful place for Ohioans to enjoy too. Scott, thanks for being our guest today. For all of those that are listening, that wraps up another insightful episode of Down to Business. Make sure to subscribe to this channel for more captivating conversations about businesses in Ohio. And don't forget to leave a review and share your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, stay informed, stay inspired, and let's keep Ohio's business community thriving. Thanks for being with us on Down to Business.